So today I have with me Alex from Saint Belford, and I'm so excited to have her here and to share a bit of her backstory behind all of the amazing products they have now. It's not just one curator, but they're all their products. So welcome, Alex. It's so lovely to have you.
Thanks so much, Narelle. Thanks for making the time and inviting me on.
Oh no, it's my pleasure. It's so great to actually have you, especially since I'm such a huge advocate of your curation 2020 this year. I was sort of converted last year and went, oh, to try it, and I absolutely loved it. So it was like no brainer to have you on to share your story, and to hopefully there might be some other people who fall in love with that, as well as your brand new journals as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Narelle.
So maybe share with us something that people might know, or things that you like to do in your free time.
Things that I like to do in my free time. I love to cook and bake. I'm naturally a creative person, and that just extends to all areas of my life. But cooking and baking is probably where I spend a lot of my time. Huge foodie here. I love recreating food that at restaurants that I just love, and food that I eat overseas that I've just craved when I'm back home, and I just love like putting a healthy spin on it and just adapting it in a way that makes my body feel good. So I'm all about healthifying treats that I used to love as a kid, so like hedgehogs and cheesecakes, and just love recreating treats.
And there's so many new recipes out there that you can modify, and products that you can get just on the supermarket shelves now compared to years ago, isn't it? So have you got a favorite sort of restaurant in Geelong that you like to go to?
Oh, we're big fans of Yeah Boy. That's our go-to for takeaway. Where else? Oh, Skinny Dippers is my cafe to get treats if I can't be bothered whipping something up myself. Like, that's my go-to.
Yeah.
Where else? Gosh, there's so many. And that's the other thing that surprised me, having coming from Melbourne and having this enormous variety of food. I was a little bit skeptical about the variety offered here in Geelong, because I just didn't know, and I thought in comparison to Melbourne, surely there's going to be a gap. But I haven't made my way through every single cafe yet, so I'm happy. I'm very, very happy with the selection here.
And I'm sure next year there'll be more again to choose from. Hopefully there'll be some new ones popping up. Once we can move out of COVID.
Yeah.
So what about your morning routine? Tell us about your morning routine, because I've seen some of yours on Instagram stories. So maybe share with the audience.
Yeah, sure. So I have a few non-negotiables in the morning. I always begin my morning quite slowly. So I will meditate first up. I use an app called Oak, and it's just a pretty simple app. It's a 10-minute, well, they have different meditations. I just use a 10-minute timer, meditate for at least 10 minutes. And then after that, I will journal. So these are two things that, because they've been habits for quite a long time now, like I kind of feel the same way about them as I do brushing my teeth. I'd feel a little bit weird if I didn't complete them in the morning. So the reason why I journal, especially, it's kind of just to declutter my mind. It's like when I wake up, if I've had some weird dreams, or I've got something on my mind, or my mind's just gone straight to my to-do list on what I have to do, or I'm feeling quite anxious, it helps close down those tabs for a minute, declutter my mind so that I can start the day feeling quite fresh. And it's also a good time for me to give myself a bit of a pep talk if I need. If I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed by what the day is looking like, that's a time for me to remind myself of all the things that I know deep down but will forget in a frazzled state. So it's just a really good grounding exercise. So those are my first two things. And then what will I do? Get up, have breakfast, have a shower, just like start my day quite slowly, and just always be checking in with what I need on that day, because it will vary, and being pregnant at the moment especially, that varies even more. So just being very gentle with myself in the morning.
Do you find, so do you write in your curation the night before, or do you write in it first thing in the morning as well?
Okay, so when I talk about journaling, I'm just talking about like morning, like stream of consciousness journaling. But in terms of using my curation planner, at the end of the workday, I'll generally write down a to-do list of like my key priorities for the day ahead, so that I'm not busy thinking about it in the evening. It's kind of like my day's already planned for me, because I start my morning quite slowly as well. Imagine if I had to come to my desk and then spend another hour or like half an hour trying to figure out, so what do I need to do today? That's already there for me. I come to my desk, look at my to-do list, and I'm like, okay, so this is what I have on. And I can just start, I can get going. I have that, strong sense of purpose, without feeling frazzled trying to figure it out.
And I could imagine that having that night or the end of the day routine also then helps with your journaling in the morning, to be able to, because I love that when you said about closing down your tabs from the night, the dreams and things that have come up for you, and even emotions, and by journaling them out. But if you didn't have that planning and all that done, it would also maybe be wound up in, hang on, I haven't got time to journal. I've got to get organised, ready for the day. So I think, it's beautiful. And I love how you put it, the tabs of the night, because we think of them at the end of the day, don't we? But it's really a great way as the day to progress into the new day as well.
Definitely. It's so important to like transition yourself out of that work mindset, or whatever's happened, like let go of whatever's happened that day, and transition into a more relaxed state. That is definitely 100% my way of transitioning.
So with your journaling, how long have you been doing the journaling for? Like, how long would you say the habit you've started doing that habit?
That particular daily habit, so I've been journaling on and off prior to implementing that daily habit, which I've implemented probably 6 months ago.
Yeah.
But prior to that, I was always journaling on and off, more so whenever I felt some sort of strong, intense emotion that I couldn't process without writing down. I found writing a way of, sorry, did that come through did that sound come through?
That's all right.
I found it a really therapeutic way of processing my emotions mindfully and trying to understand what's going on, rather than just like rushing to this, like, I need to get to happy, or I need to like solve the problem immediately. It was just my way of soothing myself and processing.
That's beautiful. And it's funny because you do hear people say, I can't journal. And it's funny, I just wrote a blog post about language and the language. And I love just then when you used it, that, it was like a way of working through your emotions and not having to just go straight into solving the problem, but just putting it out there and letting it sit for a while and seeing what comes of it as well, which is such a beautiful way to look at our emotions and how we feel. So what about your business? Because I wanted to then jump in and talk about the journals, because obviously that has led to the development of your new journals, the Wisdom Within and Pledge to Stay Well.
Yeah. Yes, correct. Yeah. So what led to, sorry, what was the question?
Yeah, well, I was going to say about your business, but because you're talking about journaling, maybe tell us about them, and they're so new and they look stunning. Tell us about those and maybe how it led to those then.
Yeah, so we obviously, Curation is and probably always will be our signature product. But from the very beginning, when we launched our first edition of Curation, our customers would always say to us, you've got to launch a journal now. And with so many journals on the market, I felt slightly intimidated in a way. Because of what we had launched something quite special and unique, and And it was completely different to everything offered on the market. And so I didn't want to just launch a product, launch a journal just for the sake of it. I wanted it to be, again, special, unique, you know, incorporating features that other journals didn't incorporate, and something that could really help our audience as much as Curation has. And so we kind of like put that idea on the bench for a while. And it was only until I started journaling a lot more and kind of going through this journey, through my own self-discovery journey, that I thought, okay, I'm ready. I can sort of see, I could definitely see myself creating something that our community will love just as much as I will love. And that's always been a criteria when launching products. I need to love it as much as our community, you know, will benefit from it.
Yeah.
Otherwise it just feels inauthentic selling something that, you know, that I don't feel passionately about.
Or that you don't use yourself.
Yeah, that I don't use, exactly, yeah. So initially we set out with just the mission of creating the Pledge to Stay Well journal at the start of the year. And then we thought to ourselves, well, if we're going to introduce the Pledge to Stay Well journal, which is mainly kind of filling my own needs, then my partner Tom, he's also quite a frequent journaler, but he doesn't engage in as much of the affirmation writing or the more mindful exercises. He just likes journaling without prompts, or sometimes he'll journal with prompts, but he's more of a, I guess, taking the complexity out of journaling.
Yeah.
Or he kind of just has his own way of journaling. So that's where the Wisdom Within journal came in. We wanted to introduce something like a more basic, plain journal that still included a signature feature, which is the light bulb moments feature, which we've included in both journals. So that's space for you to, regardless of your journaling type, it's space for you to log your biggest insights and breakthroughs and light bulb moments while you're journaling. You know, when you have that moment of clarity, when everything clicks and you understand a particular thing that you've been trying to understand for such a long time, that's where you can log it. And it's just such a beautiful way to just reflect back on your lessons. One, write down the lessons to begin with, and then reflect back and kind of keep them top of mind, because otherwise they're so easily forgotten. That's probably I love that. That's one of my favorite features in both the journals. But of course, yeah, the Pledge to Stay Well journal, that's more of a self-discovery tool. We give you the exercises, we kind of lay it out for you. Whereas Wisdom Within's more of, you can use the pages for whatever your heart desires. Yeah.
I suppose it depends on the style of person, isn't it? And I'm sure it would be attractive. But they look absolutely stunning, like just watching the videos and other people who have unwrapped it. They looked absolutely beautiful. So you should be proud of the work that you and Tom have put into it. And maybe talk about your business then, how you started the business.
Yeah, wow. So I guess we're rewinding back to the end of 2016, start of 2017. I was working full-time at a digital marketing agency in Melbourne. I'd just been promoted to a senior position where I was managing 2 staff members, and I was trying to get a lifestyle blog off the ground, generate a side income from that. I was also helping out with my parents' family business outside of work hours. So I was taking on a lot more than I could physically and mentally manage, but just didn't kind of give in to the fact that I was exceeding my limits. I just kept going, inevitably burnt myself out, and that manifested in the form of gastritis, which is inflammation of the stomach lining, which my doctors told me was due to stress. So that was a huge wake-up call, and that was kind of like the catalyst for everything that happened after that. I was naturally forced to take time off work, and it was a very painful process of recovering, of admitting to myself that, okay, this hustle hard mentality this go, neglecting my well-being, not respecting my limits was the reason for why I was feeling the way I was. You know, I'd pretty much done this to myself. And so once I was able to consciously admit it and realize that if I wanted to live a happier life, like things needed to change. Like if I wanted to live a healthy life, for that matter, things needed to change. So I started thinking about, you know, making that transition, which isn't easy. It's not a light switch by any means. It's, you know, it was a bumpy ride. It wasn't a linear, like, oh, I've made this decision, so therefore everything's running smoothly now. It was definitely a difficult process to transition and build new habits and change that mentality. But I'll tell you this, like, pain is a very powerful motivator because, you know, when you're experiencing that pain, even though it's not the best source of motivation, it was my motivation to change. I didn't want to be in that painful state physically and mentally. So I did two things. I started meditating, and I started looking for tools to help myself. And the one tool I was searching for was a planner. I wanted something that was focused on health and wellness rather than like driven around productivity and cramming more into your day, because that I knew how to do, but you know, I needed to really flip the focus, and I just wanted that constant daily reminder, but I couldn't find anything that fit that criteria. And so when I said to Tom, you know, I can't find anything, that kind of stuck with him for a while. And 2 weeks later, he proposed the idea of starting a business and creating the perfect planner for me, you know, a planner that was centered around self-care, something that incorporated all the tools that I was looking for. And because I knew, well, we both knew that I wasn't the only one struggling with self-care. I wasn't the only one struggling to prioritize my needs. I wasn't the only one who thought of self-care and health and wellness as this foreign concept. So we were really inspired by this message. We felt like it was a really important message to share, and we were inspired to create something that would normalize self-care and kind of flip the whole productivity focused planner market on its head.
Yeah.
And that's how it all began. That was the beginning of Saint Belford.
And that's exactly why I purchased it, because past diaries or planners was like the to-do list was, you know, forever going on. Forever. Whereas I loved how it was set out, and, you know, the to-do list for the day, even that a limit, you know, 3 things I'm going to put on each day. And I love the mission up the top, like I do have it here. I have it with me all the time. You know, the mission of 3 things that you're going to do each week just keeps you focused, but not overwhelmed.
Yes.
I think is what you've done a really great job with this planner. And and the self-focus bit there as well, and the gratitude. I love that bit every week. Even though I might journal that, it's really nice to even just have that again at the end of each week or the start of the week, to center yourself, really, isn't it? And just be grateful, especially this year. So.
Definitely need to harness those gratitude rituals this year. 100%.
And it's really tested us. So yeah, I highly, everything you've said just reinforces exactly using the book, you know, the planner myself. Yeah, that's exactly why I'm drawn to it, is why you've designed it. So yes, tick, you've done an amazing job of that, because you've as a user, that's exactly why I've enjoyed using it this year and look forward to using it again next year as well. So with your then wellness over your journey, have you got, you mentioned mindfulness. Is there anything else that helped you in that journey, and slowing down, which, you know, I'm the same, very similar, and you know, it takes that fall, like they say, that Mack truck to hit you to actually go, right, I do need to rest. I know I've been saying it, but I actually do need to rest, and it's the pain So was there any other wellness tips that you would share that of helping people to slow down?
Yeah, the one thing I would recommend, which is the one thing that I am getting better at doing now, especially, it wasn't something that I instantly grasped onto, but it's just the habit of asking yourself, what do I need today? What does my mind and body need right now? Rather than being laser focused on your to-do list and being, okay, I need to get this done, I don't care what I need. It's about checking in with yourself regularly, because what you need changes depending on what's happening in your life, what's happening in the world, what things you're exposed to. You know, throughout the day, you'll go through a roller coaster of emotions. But if you can at least ask yourself in the morning, what do I need today? How can I best care for my mental and physical health? Then you get into the habit of naturally slowing down by simply asking yourself that question. And you get better at listening and tuning into your body's needs and not waiting for the alarm bells to start ringing. You become more proactive at looking after yourself. And I think that's what self-care is all about. It's about, you know, being proactive with looking after yourself rather than just putting band-aids on yourself, you know, waiting for something to happen in order for you to then do something about it.
Definitely, isn't it? Yeah, it's like, yes, I completely agree. And I wish I had have listened to this prior to having children instead of it taking so long to get into it. Because, you know, I was writing about it last week about not resting. I was that mum who was like, oh, the washing's there and the dishes need doing. I better do all that before actually just resting. Whereas I'd love to have a third child now and be able to go, right, I'm going to actually enforce all the things that I've learned over the past 11 years, and be that calm, patient mum from the very start, which you've got some beautiful things now to, you know, move into motherhood with, which is fantastic.
Yes, I'm very grateful that I'm at this place in my life where self-care is, you know, part of my day-to-day, because I mean, I'm sure motherhood will challenge me regardless. Pregnancy has already challenged me, but just having the tools in place is so important. And having switched that mentality, I think that's the biggest thing for people, you know, recognizing that self-care it's not lavish investments in, you know, spa treatments or anything. It's just about listening to your body, tuning in, giving yourself what you need, respecting your limits. I think that's one of the biggest things as well. You know, not comparing yourself to what other people can do. You know, other people, that we all have different levels of stamina, different things going on in our life which affect our pace, and that's okay. And we just need to be more accepting of our limits.
Yeah, definitely. It is. And I'm sure this year has helped people to realize this even more so as well. So it's maybe one of the positives that comes out of 2020 is that we all start to prioritize rest and slow down a little bit. So how can people find you? And if they are interested in, so when do pre-orders come out for 2021?
Pre-orders will start on the 9th of September for Curation 2021. Gosh. But the journals, and we've also got a puzzle that's on sale now. That's already available online. You can find us at saintbelford.com.au or on Instagram, which we're quite active on Instagram, always posting self-care tips and tips for building new habits, all that sort of stuff, at Saint Belford.
Beautiful. Oh, thank you so much, Alex. It was so lovely to have you, and I'm sure that people will be going over and checking out your social media and checking out your tips, because I think you do some great Instagram stories sharing self-care tips. And I look forward to seeing your journey with the little baby as well coming along.
Thanks so much, Narelle.
Thank you.